Say your name into the camera.
Well, my real name is Mary Ann Jung, but here at the Maryland Renaissance Festival, I'm Captain Jean, the Pirate Queen, daughter of John Cabot, the great explorer.
Thank you. How long have you been visiting the Ren Fair?
I have been here for 29 years. I am the veteran performer here at the festival.
Okay. And let's see, do you travel around to other festivals, or?
In past, I have played Queen Elizabeth I and been director for the Florida Renaissance Festival for about a decade, and I've performed at a few others. But now I just do this one. This is one of the biggest and certainly one of the best. I'm a bit prejudiced, but we are one of the largest, and we're the only all-professional Renaissance Festival in the entire country.
Okay.
Meaning, for instance, many other fairs, they have some people in costume who volunteer their time to perform. They may pay a few stage acts or the king or queen, but other people are volunteers. They have to provide their own costumes. Maryland, everyone here is a paid performer. Most of them are already professional actors, performers. They have to go through a rigorous training period of improvisation, history, language, but everyone is paid. We don't say, oh, look, we'll give you gas money. This is a very big time commitment. We're 9 weekends, and people have very often other things to do. So we're very, the fact that we're all professional also means we get to keep people a lot longer. They're willing to, we have one of the strongest veteran returning casts of any show. Volunteer fairs tend to get high school and college kids, because that's great, but then they move on because they're not making money, and it's hard work. It's very hard work. So we actually have a lot of people, been 10, 15, 20 years, been here a long, long time. We've got one of the strongest, I think, because we do pay and we're very organized.
You want to keep her eye level over your shoulder, Alex?
Yes. Yeah, if you could just look at me while you're speaking, it's going to be a little difficult, but you could do it.
No, that's fine. That's what I was doing originally, and then...
Now, you were telling us about being the historical trainer.
Oh, indeed, that I am. I've had the great pleasure. Actually, my degree is British history, and Tudor is my specialty. I thought I was going to be a school teacher. Back in 1980, when I was at University of Maryland, I just fell in love with performing here, and eventually, because I already did love the language and know it and know the history, they just sort of tapped that, and so I basically now teach a lot of the improv classes, Shakespearean language, so a lot of the training and the history, because we change years every year. We don't do the same scripts year after year. Every year we switch. We're doing a different wife of King Henry VIII, so entirely new scripts, entirely new dynamic and gossip everybody needs to know for the era, and we go through all that in rehearsals here, which is a great deal of fun, and I have the great pleasure of leading that. Rehearsals can go anywhere from a month to 2 months, depending. Some years we start early July, sometimes late, and we open at the end of August. So most of them have had to go through, it's quite a commitment. They actually get paid for rehearsals too.
Can you give us a brief little lesson between vernaculars of the era that you're presenting here today and maybe today's era?
Do you mean language or the history? Which? The language, I thought that's what you meant. Well, when I give a crash course to folks who want to know, first of all, we're talking two things. You need to have a British accent, and second, you need to have some Renaissance words. So for a crash course, I tell people if you want to sound more British and upper class, you have to pronounce all your consonants. Americans are very lazy. We swallow a lot of our sounds. You can even see my mouth is a little more slack. So British, you have to tighten your mouth up and you say all your consonants are very proper. When I, in fact, played Queen Anne Boleyn, I had to have the most posh accent. So that's a crash course number one. Number two is you cannot do an American A. So you cannot say class or dance or master. It's class and dance and master. So when I teach accent, those are the two basic things to start with. Language, that's an entire other subject, and I have whole glossaries and wonderful handouts that I put together over the years. But Shakespearean language, which was a cross of both Old English and modern. So, for example, they certainly said yes and no, but more frequently they would also say aye or nay. And out here at the Renaissance Festival, since it is our goal to make you feel like you're in another era, we tell our performers, use aye and nay. We know they use yes and no, but we want to sound like we're in another time, another century, take them away from their cares and woes. It's escapism. So that's one simple example. Something else, of course, titles. Well, the English are very, very keen on titles, and in this time period, you really needed to know who got called what. So one of the handouts I give, once we've decided the era we're playing, what characters historically we're playing in the Court Royal, I literally will tell them, for example, the King and Queen are always Your Majesty. A Royal Princess is Your Royal Highness. A duke or the archbishop is Your Grace. Not everybody's a lady. Everybody wants to say, oh, my lady. Well, only a woman married to a knight or higher actually gets to be called lady. So we go through all this, and every year they have to learn with the new characters and who we're playing, who gets called what. Technically, the king could call you out if you address him improperly and make a fun thing out of it. But the point is, again, to make people feel part of it, but to also learn that things were very different. And that's what makes it such fun, is to go to another time.
Did you make your own costume?
Oh, nay, and I have to confess, when I was Queen Anne Boleyn, my costume was completely accurate and based on one of her paintings. This is rather ridiculous. It's my first, it's based on a female sea captain, Grace O'Malley. But no, this is actually quite fantastical. The chemise is probably the only real authentic thing I'm wearing. This hat, this really is from the 1700s. This is not a proper hat for this time, but because my character is not historical, for the first time I actually have license. It's a bit ironic since I'm the history chairperson. But no, I do not make my costumes. We have a terrific seamstress, we call her the costume goddess, Cindy Anderson. She makes all of the fantastic royal court costumes. You see the king and queen, those are all really authentic. They are made the way, the fabrics, you won't see any polyester. Even the undergarments we're all wearing, they're authentic, appropriate. So all the people playing historical characters are accurate. And she, well, takes her, it's a year-round job for her to get everyone in cast looking well.
I'm sure. And
She is. If you want to interview her, she is right in the costume rental booth. She's in, yeah, if you ask for Cindy.
great.
Yeah, she's amazing.
One last thing, and then we're just going to follow you around for a little bit, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
I would like to know, and what I'm interested in is just what's your favorite memory of the 29 years that you've been here, of one good one that you can think of that just...
There are so many that it really were difficult to choose it, because people out here who come year after year really feel like you're part of their family, and they'll come back with someone who was a baby 20 years ago and I held when I was Queen Anne Boleyn and say, look, Your Majesty, she's all grown up. And so it's really watching them grow up like your own family. But so there's many heartwarming, just steal your heart memories of people who will tell you how you touched their lives by talking to them and making them welcome. I think, but some of the ones that also stand out are the funny ones, and especially little children who don't quite know what to make all this. So I have to say, I'll give you one of two, but my favorite small child story, when I was playing Queen Anne Boleyn, little girls loved the dresses and the jewels, and I had this beautiful little 3-year-old come up and, looking at my dress and my accoutrements, and so I was fussing over her and how lovely she was. And whenever you stop when you're queen, you gather a crowd out here. People stop and listen. So we had this lovely crowd looking at this cute little girl just talking to the queen. And the next thing she did, the classic little girl thing, she pulled her skirt up and for everyone said, look, Queen, I have big girl panties. So there's her little panties and her little belly, and she was so priceless. So that's one of my favorite stories. In fact, I actually confess that now it's sort of a funny thing. Every now and again I'll jokingly say that to my husband. I'll say, look, I have big girl panties. So that's kind of heartwarming, wonderful things you get with the children here.
I've seen that. Yeah, it really brings it out. It opens them up, I think.
It does. It does. They're a little shy at first, and well, it's overwhelming, but eventually they realize to relax and to play, and that's the point.
Right. Okay. Do you have anything else, or?
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. What's your name?
Thank you.
Megan?
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
Alex.
Oh, well, yeah, your hands up. Well, that's fine.
I'll
That's
stop.
fine.
You give permission for us to use
American
you.
University.
American University permission to be used in this film.
Let me know when.
Go ahead.
Right. My name is Tom Plott, and permission is given for American University to use this footage of me in their documentary. Thank you.
Perfect. And if you mind, I'll just sort of watch you for a little bit.
Sure, I don't care. Hey, people! Riley, you love me, you know it. You're gonna dream about me. Sure, you'll call it a nightmare, but you'll be asleep seeing me. That's all that matters. Hey, mister, somebody stole your baby. Either that or your baby's shopping. You trying to buy a baby? Ask the hermit. I have an answer for every question. No question too difficult. Ask the hermit.
Why are you sitting in the mud?
Because I cannot float in the air. Next question.
What happened to the turtle?
Well, he died. Next question. Actually, he lived a lovely life for a while. He did a little swimming, he did a little walking around, ate some leaves, chewed on a stick once, tried to eat a rock, but that was stupid. And he died. Next question. Ask the hermit. I have an answer for every question. Some of them right. Next question. Hey, people.
I got them fighting over for They're down there fighting over you.
All right, you let me know who wins.
Which one you want, the winner or loser?
I'll take them both.
Oh, I figured.
The loser can dance. Ask the hermit. I have an answer for every question. No question too difficult for the hermit.
I have mine figured out.
I knew you would. Next question. Ask